Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. What if I told you your whole life you've actually been practicing magic, but you just weren't aware of it? In this episode, I plan on going into more detail about just that. Our words actually hold a lot of power, and when you speak these words, you're putting this energy out to the universe, which in return attracts. There's that old saying, speak of the devil, because when you start talking about something, you tend to bring it about. So that's why people say, be careful what you say. Don't talk about things you don't want because you might actually attract it to you. Another thing is when you're, for instance, doing a prayer or a spell or a wish, you use your words to convey what you want to attract or have happen in your life. When you do that, you're using your power to put that out to the universe. So it's best to try to talk as much about what you do want and less of what you don't want. Unfortunately, in our lives, we tend to talk about the things that are going wrong or things we don't want to happen in our life. The problem with doing that is you're actually putting your energy, which that's what we all are, we're made of energy. You're putting your energy, which is your power, into the thing that you don't want. So in return, you're actually creating what you don't want. And, honestly, I've done that for quite a while until I realized to shift your focus. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So when you realize that you're talking more about what you don't want, you have the ability to switch it to what you do want. So if you notice a lot of bad things like happening almost back to back to back, chances are you're focusing or you're talking about those bad things, which in return kind of creates this snowball effect where you're just bringing more and more and more of that into your life without realizing you're doing it. So in this video, I want to explain to you guys how you can shift that. And instead of attracting what you don't want to attract, you can actually attract what you do want to have in your life. And it's like magic, because when you start to really utilize your energy, your power, you can really start shifting your whole life. And me practicing this, I've seen a lot of positive shifts happen, and it's really cool to see that you have the power to make things happen. Because throughout your life, I'm sure you've had people in the past who didn't realize about this power, and they just always assumed like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't have that, that'll never happen. But the thing is you believing them, you made that a reality. You took their advice like, oh, hey, I can't do this. So you never really gave yourself the power to do it. That's the cool thing, is when you focus your power, your mind, into the thing that you want, whether it's something you want to achieve, something you want to have, something you want to create, something you want to experience, you can do any of those, any of them. The trick is to focus your power and make it happen. Because, it's kind of funny when they say, like, put your mind to something, you can do anything. They're kind of giving you a little hint on your own power. But a lot of people think it's just not real, that, oh, that's make-believe or whatever you want to call it. But when you discredit something, you're giving your power to discredit it. So you're not believing in it. When you actually focus on the stuff that you want, you will notice, like I was saying, that there's going to be like a snowball effect. So you attract one thing you want, and then another thing, and then another thing, and then pretty soon you're just going to have all this abundance flowing to you, and you're going to be like, where's all this coming from? It's you tapping into and utilizing your power. When you start doing that, it's going to start feeling so blissful, because all these things you've always dreamed of having, all these things you've always dreamed of experiencing are going to start happening. And it's going to feel like it's so unreal, but it is real. That's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to tap into that, and you're going to love it. I know you are. So, the first thing you have to do is break the habit. And we all have this habit because unfortunately we're in a society where we focus on the bad things going on in our life instead of the good things. So, the first thing you have to do to really shift into utilizing your power, you have to stop looking at all of the bad things that are going on in the world, in your life, whatever you're seeing. You have to stop focusing on it. Because I've noticed in the past I've had bad things happen, but when I look back on them, I'm like, if it wasn't for that bad thing happening, this good thing wouldn't have happened. Or it never would have put me on this path. I might still be going down that path that I didn't necessarily like. When you start to shift your focus from looking at something always from a negative standpoint and start looking at, hey, what's the positive outcomes of this bad thing happening in your life? Because everything's perceptual. You might look at something as it being really bad, horrible, just very negative. But when you get someone else's perspective, they might look at it as, hey, this is an opportunity. This is a step in a new direction, a direction that's going to lead you on a path that you want to go. And sometimes you kind of have to take a step back and be like, oh wow, I didn't see that before. I didn't notice that. But again, two people can be looking at the same situation and see two different outcomes, two different possibilities, two different opportunities. When you start focusing from the negative to a positive, having that optimism that, hey, you know what? This thing that's not really wanted is happening. But what is that doing? It's pushing me away from what I don't want towards something I do want. It's kind of helping you make a decision in life. And maybe it might be a stepping stone, putting you on a path that you've been wanting to go down, but you just didn't know how to go down there. Maybe this obstacle that came up in your life is actually helping you, push you down that path you've been looking for. So once you switch your focus from it being a negative experience that you're having to a positive experience, like, hey, you know what? Maybe this is pushing me in the direction I've always wanted to go. Let me feel it out. When you do that, not only are you reconstructing that situation to be beneficial for you, but you're also giving yourself the power, not that situation. That situation does not have power over you. You have power in that moment to decide how it goes, what the outcome is, and how this is going to affect your life in the long term. Because this situation is just temporary. So when you shift to viewing it as a positive situation, you can then utilize your power to say, hey, this bad thing happened. What do I want to have happen? Not the thing I didn't want to happen. What do I want to have happen? And what you have to do is you have to speak it into existence. And by doing that, you have to say, this is what I want. I want this experience. I want this person in my life. I want this dream job. I want this goal. I want to be this weight. When you say you want something, you're putting it out there. You're creating it just by saying you want it. It might not happen instantaneously. Chances are it's not going to happen instantaneously. Unfortunately, when you put stuff out there, it takes time to manifest and the details to come into your life to align you with what you're asking for. Which is a good thing because it gives you time to calibrate it to your exact liking. Because you might think in the moment, hey, I want this dream job. But maybe in a few days or weeks or months, you might come across a new profession and you're like, oh wow, actually, no, I don't want that other one. I want that one. So you're creating that new job for yourself, but you're giving time to fine tune it to what you actually want, your end result. So start adding details, start adding certain elements to what you want. I wouldn't go too far into how it will happen. Again, like we talked about in a previous video, the universe has unlimited ways of bringing something about into your life. So I wouldn't focus on how it will happen, just what you want to have happen. When you do that, you have to believe in it, like we talked about before. Your words, your belief, your intention, your vision, your focus, your energy, all of that aligns your power to create what you're saying. Because a lot of times we just randomly will talk about something and then a few hours later or a couple days later you'll be like, wow, we were just talking about that. Because you're manifesting, but you're just kind of throwing your power out there. You're not really fine-tuning it to what you want. You're just kind of shooting it out there, and then stuff comes into your life that wasn't a big deal. When you start focusing on what is a big deal to you, you really have the key to everything. The perfect life, the perfect experience, the perfect journey. Just everything that you thought was impossible, you will realize is actually possible. Because also fear. Fear is one of the biggest misconceptions that we have. A lot of times our fear is our mind just creating this reality that does not exist without any physical proof, without any logic behind it. Which is funny because we like to think of our thoughts as like very logical and it makes sense, the facts. But when you take a step back and look at your fears, a lot of times you're afraid of things that just aren't going to happen. Like you're afraid of like going up and talking to somebody, right? You think the first thought that comes to mind, oh, they're going to think I'm stupid. They're not going to want to talk to me. That's all in your head. When you go up to someone and actually start a conversation with them and start joking around, if you get them to laugh, like you're in, because everyone wants to be able to laugh. If you can make somebody laugh, that's great. I tend to make people laugh just because I have my odd moments, but I will run with it. But I realized going up to people, like I was always so afraid to approach people and talk to them. But once I started forcing myself to do it, I would go up to them and start talking. And all of the things I was afraid of never even occurred. They never thought I was stupid. They never thought, oh, I don't have time for you, get away from me. They never were mean to me. They just talked to me just like any other person, as if I've known them for a long time. Just striking up a conversation. So the fear was for nothing. The fear is what holds us back. When you get rid of fear, and unfortunately, I researched because when I was in my teens, I was so terrified of practically everything. Like I just didn't want to go out in the world, which was holding me back from living. I was researching so many different forms, so many different videos, so many different books on how to overcome fear, how to get rid of fear. And I didn't like the answer. So the only way to get rid of fear is to face it head on. That's it. And every time I got that answer, I'm like, that can't be right. And I would go to the next one. What's the answer? Oh, you have to face it. That can't be right. Go to the next one. And then every single answer that I got was, you have to face it. And I'm like, oh. So I literally have to walk straight up and look my fear in the eyes and just go with it. And for people who have really strong fears, you know what I'm talking about. We've all had fears in our past. Some people still have fears, but you know how nerve-wracking that is to go up and face your fear. But once you do, and of course, the one day that I have long sleeves on, I actually have a tattoo, which you'll probably see in my other videos, that says, "Overcoming fear is freedom." And I got that tattooed on my arm to remind me that in order to live life, in order to create the life that you want to create, and have the most blissful, beautiful, magical life experience that you can possibly have, you can't let your fear hold you back anymore. You just have to face it and move forward. Your fear is always going to hold you back. And like I just explained to you, fear is just an illusion. There is nothing to be afraid of. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say like go jump off high buildings or walk out in front of traffic or like do anything crazy like that. I'm not saying that, but some of the fears that you know are just in your head. Like I said, going up and talking to new people, it's in the head. It's fine. You can talk to people. We're talking right now. You're talking to your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, your family. Like, it's not hard to do. It's the same scenario, but we put the fear in front of strangers. But then at one point, everyone in our life was a stranger, even our family. When we first grow up, we didn't know our family. We didn't know, oh, hey, that's my mom, that's my dad, that's my brother, that's a sister. Like, we didn't know that. We just eventually got accumulated to them. Same thing with our friends, our coworkers. At one point, they were all strangers to us. Now they're like our best friends. We're going out having fun. We're partying. We're telling our deepest, darkest secrets to. Like, fear is just an illusion. In some scenarios, it does protect us from getting hurt, which is good. I'm not saying get rid of all fears, just the ones that are hindering creating the life that you want. When you do that, you get rid of the fear. You switch your focus from negative. Because unfortunately, a lot of humans, that's how we're raised in society. We're kind of programmed and have this habit to focus on bad things. When you break that habit, which takes time, and just like anything, when you break a habit, it's going to be some work. It's not going to be an overnight success. But when you finally break the habit of looking at everything as going wrong in your life, going down a path that you don't want to go down, when you finally break that habit and look at everything from a bigger perspective, you can finally shift your focus and be like, you know what is this scenario providing for me? It's actually providing me opportunities that I'm just not seeing. When you break that habit and start focusing on good things, you can actually use your words, because your words have so much power. And that's why you really need to be careful with what you say. If you're mad at somebody, don't put out hateful words that you're going to regret later. Don't say things that are going to hurt people. Just hold it in. Just let it out in private. Don't say it out there. Don't put it out to the universe. Because things might be heated in the moment, but it will calm down. You don't want to put out negativity. You just want to put out the positivity, because that's what you're trying to attract. If you get in a fight with somebody and you start spewing this negativity and hate, that's, if you notice, it kind of feels like wrong on the inside. It feels like you're fueling this side of you that isn't you. And the reason that is because you're pouring your energy into something hateful rather than pouring your energy into something beautiful and loving and healing. So definitely be careful with what you say. And honestly, if you do have a fight with somebody, try to make up. Be the bigger person and apologize and be like, hey, this is where I was at, this is where you were at, we had different viewpoints, let's understand each other better and move forward. Just release it, forgive, because you don't want to hold on to that negativity for the rest of your life, because it's just going to weigh you down, and it takes away your power, because you're giving your power to something that you don't want. It takes away from your power for the thing you do want. So when you take that back and forgive and move forward, apologize, you can start focusing it where you want to create. And the cool thing is when you start shifting your focus to positive things, like I said, you start attracting more and more positive things, but you'll start to notice that the bad things or negative things that are going on in your life won't really bother you as much. When I started practicing shifting my focus, I noticed that things that would really upset me in the past they bothered me for a little bit, but not as long as it did before. Before, this stuff would throw me into like a depression. And I would be so upset and crying and just wanting to be isolated from everyone because I was just so hurt by it. Now I utilize that bad thing to focus more on the good thing, the opposite of what I want to have happen. I notice by doing that, the bad things or the things I don't want don't really bother me so much. And that's the thing too, is when you focus your energy, your focus into something, you're fueling it. You're giving it power. You're amplifying it. So by just not focusing on that thing, it diminishes. It's no longer part of your experience. It's in the past. And instead of focusing on the past, because you can't change it, the past happened. The only thing that's in your control is your future. That's where you should be focused, in your future. And we all have regrets. We all have things we wish we can go back and change, but that's not our place. Those things that happened back then create who we are today. And like I've told numerous people before, when they look at themselves in the mirror and they're saying, I'm not the person I've always wanted to be, or I never would have thought this is where I would be at in this time of my life, I always tell them, I'm like, the thing is those things that happen to you, those experiences, again, gave you positive experiences, positive opportunities. It set you down this path. And if you think about it, if you didn't go down that path, the people you met, the relationships you had, the fun that you've had, the beautiful experiences that you've had, and all of the wonderful conversations and fun times might never have happened, like, at all. And when you realize that, again, those bad things don't have such a huge impact on you anymore. You realize, kind of like what I always say, is everything happens for a reason. We might not know what that reason is in the moment when the experience is happening, but later on when you look back, you're like, oh wow, I see now why that had to have happened. Because if that didn't happen, this other thing or this wonderful thing in my life might never have happened. I never would have met this person. I never would have had this wonderful experience that I cherish now. So again, focusing on the positive will diminish and lower the impact of the negative things that happen in your life. And you start to become more powerful when you actually are in control of your emotions. Believe me, I am very emotional. The people that know me, you know. I take a lot of things to heart. I don't just take things lightly. A lot of things, like I said, in the past used to bother me. But once I started focusing my power, my energy, and not letting things get to me so much, I took control of my emotions, which again gives me more power to focus it where I want it. When I had that first experience that kind of ignited all of this, I was actually surprised. I thought that I was going to go down this deep depression and be upset and really let this thing get to me for a while. And I noticed, I'm like, this didn't really bother me as much as it normally would have. And instead, I just started focusing on, like, okay, well, this thing's not working. Let me move in this direction to what will work. And I didn't dwell in the thing that wasn't working. I started moving towards the opportunity, having optimism about the future. And again, nothing's set in stone. We can always change our future. And that's the beautiful thing about your words. Whatever you talk about will come about. So again, talk about good things. Talk about things that you do want to have in your life, not the things you don't want. Because when you start talking about good things, and again, if you're believing with what you're saying, if you're focusing on it, if you're thinking about it constantly, it becomes your reality. And when that happens, the universe has to bring your reality to you, because this is what you're radiating. So the universe has to match it. So radiate what you want. Radiate beautiful things, magical things that you never would have thought were possible. When I was a kid, I used to think of all kinds of things. Of course, being raised Wiccan, I literally thought all kinds of magical creatures and mythical creatures and, different worlds were out there. I kind of just let my imagination run. And when I realized back then, when I used to fantasize about stuff, I kind of manifested a lot of stuff that I thought would have been cool to experience as a kid. So, and when those things happened, when I did experience them, I was like, oh my God, I used to think about this when I was a kid, that it would be so cool to experience this. And I got to experience it as an adult. So back then I was manifesting, but I didn't realize it. And I wasn't focused on it, so it didn't happen like quickly, but it still happened later on in life. So you can definitely manifest stuff even from back when you were a kid. And I feel like that's when we had most of our powers, because we weren't kind of like bogged down with society and everything. And obviously, like, the responsibilities of being an adult. But once you start realizing that you're in control of your focus, your energy, just everything about your life is in your hands, you can really start making the positive shifts. And what I really love about doing all of this is that it's a constant learning experience. There's no, oh, I know how to do this, and bam, like, for the rest of your life, you can just keep doing this stuff. Like, no, like, you need to keep practicing, you need to keep evolving and getting better and better at it. Just like I taught you the technique with communicating with the universe. That's not the only way to communicate with the universe, but by practicing this stuff more and more, I discovered new ways of doing the thing that I've been trying to do for so long. When you start coming with new ways, you have ways that might work better for you or might actually benefit you by being able to do it more often. Because a lot of times we're so busy during our day and we don't really have time to sit down and meditate for like an hour and then try to manifest. Like, a lot of times we're doing stuff on the fly, and I do that sometimes. I'm so busy, I'll throw out a few things to the universe, focus on it, meditate for a little bit, and envision it, and then go about my day. Like, I don't get to spend a whole lot of time, doing a ritual and everything, even though I want to. I still make time for it, but what I'm telling you is that even though you have a busy schedule, because we all do, you can still set just 5 minutes throughout the day. Just when you're driving your car, clear your mind. Don't close your eyes while driving, but still clear your mind, have the radio off, and just focus your imagination to where you want your life to go. the things you want to manifest, the things you want to experience. And you can even do it just as a casual, wouldn't it be nice to experience this? Or it'd be so cool to experience that. Just by doing that, you're still giving it energy. You're putting it out there, like I said, with your words, with your powerful words. You're speaking things that you want to experience into existence. And again, don't worry about when and where or how it will happen. Just simply say what you want, put it out there, focus on it for a little while, and then let it unfold beautifully for you. Because the universe is going to do that for you. And when you start practicing this, you'll notice that it becomes easier and easier. Just like anything, you do it enough times, it will be like second nature to you. I mean, when you first start learning to do something like riding a bike, like you fell off of it a few times and got hurt, or crashed it, or almost went out in front of a car. I had that happen. Luckily, the lady saw me and she stopped. But but once you have a few attempts at it, it'll get easier and easier, and then it gets to the point where you can just hop on the bike and start riding around without even thinking about it. It's just like that with anything. With what I'm teaching you, it's the same thing. With anything I've taught you so far in these videos, practicing it enough times, over and over and over, you will just surprise yourself, because this stuff isn't as hard as everyone thinks. And that's why I wanted to do these videos, is to tell everyone that magic is all around us. Just like I said in the beginning of this video, you didn't realize it, but you've been practicing magic your whole life. Have you been utilizing it? Probably not, because you weren't aware of it. But now that I'm explaining this stuff to you guys and teaching you from a witch's perspective, that magic is all around us. It's about tapping into it. It's about believing in it. It's about utilizing it to your benefit. Because like I said, so many of us go day to day not even thinking about stuff, not even talking about, oh, hey, I really would like to have this happen. You're always just saying, oh, I don't really want to have to go to work. I don't want this. I don't want that. Like, you're putting out what you don't want to the universe. So you're creating what you don't want. So you're kind of stuck in what feels like a loop. But I'm telling you, you can actually break that by starting to speak about the things you do want. Because when you start doing that, you're going to start creating that. You're going to start experiencing that. You're going to start having it flowing into your life just like a wealth of abundance. So I would just focus on what you want, stop focusing on the stuff you don't want, and speak more about good things in your life, magical things. Just start speaking a little bit each day, throughout the day, as much as you can. Just whenever you start thinking about it, you have that moment where you have a little bit of time to yourself, start saying things that you want. And just a little bit each day will go a long way. So I'm excited for you guys to try this, and I know you can do it. Just like anything, breaking a habit, it takes some work, but it is possible. It's just your willpower to achieve it. And I know you guys are mentally strong. You got this. Believe me, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but if I can do it, if other people can do it, you can do it as well. So I believe in you. And today, I got more crystals for you guys. So this one is lemon quartz. I got this one in Sedona. It's really beautiful. I forget the cut that it is, but this one is really good for strengthening your willpower, your confidence, and it's also good for healing. It heals physical, mental, emotional. So I really love this one. And this one is clear quartz. So this one promotes creativity and optimism, but it also helps clear your chakras. And another good thing that I really love about this will amplify your energy and intentions for meditation and manifesting. So this one is really powerful to have when you're practicing what we're discussing in these videos, where you're manifesting your dream life and harnessing your power. Get some clear quartz. And this one I believe is actually like a cracked clear quartz. It's really pretty. But again, crystals are very powerful. Highly recommend them. So I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. And again, practice this. Even if it's a little bit each day, you will start seeing magic in your life. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.